hence the reason why we've got CCTV cameras. Now this is my third season here, and since that time we've never had to have a proper physical confrontation with anyone.
Exeter and the Devon area had had quite a lot of media attention regarding hooligans recently. Plymouth Argyle, their local rivals, were in the news the same week I was at the ground.
Half a dozen suspects were rounded up in the early hours of this morning on the basis of work carried out by the Football Intelligence Unit. It follows violence at Plymouth Argyle's match with Leeds United in September.
Exeter's hooligan trouble might not be as major as Plymouth's, and since dropping out the Football League, the risk has gone down, but there are still certain fixtures where trouble can occur.
On match days, become a football spotter, and in that role you end up with things, and yes, there is disorder in the street, but very often it's not witnessed by television cameras, it's not witnessed by the football supporters, and there are only usually a minimum group of the public that actually witness it.
So if the CCTV is pushing the trouble away from the ground, where does this violence happen?
Back in the late 70s, early 80s, football disorder was at its most prominent, and that was when you rightly said earlier, when they used to attack and try and take the home supporters' end of the ground, that sort of thing. It happened in the ground. It doesn't now because of the introduction of CCTV and football legislation, but the CCTV in particular has really driven them out of the grounds and into the city centres. CCTV in city centres is now driving them out of the city centres into areas on the outskirts of the city or areas close to the city centre without CCTV.
PC Underhill is continuing his checks around the ground. At the moment he is checking the away end. He explains to me that this fixture, which is a Vans trophy match between Swindon and Exeter, is a game with low hooligan activity.
Low-key fixtures such as this, they tend to gather in usual pubs close to the ground. For a higher profile fixture, they'll start using a few tactics and they'll look at gathering in a pub that we wouldn't normally check.
As we continue, some of the away support verbally abuse me. PC Underhill explains to me why he thinks this is.
PC camera!
As I said to you when I mentioned before, if they see you with, we'll go out this way, if they see you with a camera with me, they'll naturally assume that you are a police evidence gatherer.
Yeah.
And they said you would then become a legitimate target for...
After my journey around the ground was over, I decided the only way to learn more about these hooligans was to talk to the hooligans themselves. So I went in search of a hooligan who would hopefully share their stories with me and give me an insight into how their minds really work. On the internet there are hundreds of sites dedicated to the football hooligans and all of the different firms. Each team has its own firm, and each of the firms have their own website. This is where they will banter with opposing teams in the run-up to future games. Using the internet as my primary research, I joined various hooligan sites inquiring on their forums for someone to appear in my documentary. After posting a message on the Gas Hit Squad's website, which is the Bristol Rovers firm, a young hooligan got in contact with me and agreed to do an interview.
Hello, mate, you all right?
We arranged to meet outside the Bristol Rovers ground. His face and identity has been covered up for legal reasons. He took me to his local bar, where he told me how he first got into it all.
I was banned for about 10 years or so. It's just a natural progression, really, just to get around the pub, you know, you get to see people, see faces, you see little bits of violence in the streets and stuff. I think cool, like a bit of that, like, get down the pub, get to meet people, and then the day, natural progression into football violence, really.
What, so you didn't start going there to partake in violence, just went there because you supported Rovers?
Yeah, it wasn't purposefully to go down to the Rovers ground, you know, just to kick someone's head in. It was like basically support Rovers, and then it's just a progression into...
You saw it and you wanted to do it?
Yeah, meeting people. It's just progression from there, sticking up for your team basically, travelling around.
Yeah.
It's just a bit more fun experience than just watching Rovers, seeing them lose and stuff. Just feel like beating someone up. There you go.
This Bristol Rovers football hooligan is what they call a youth squad member. This person works under the older generation and the ringleader, who is known as the top boy. It is said that the new generation of football hooligans coming up are even more violent and vicious than their predecessors.
The youth culture that's around, that's on its way now, they're a lot more violently minded. And I think if the football hooliganism is to rear its head like it is in the 80s, if it goes to the level that it is in the 80s, the violence would be a lot worse. Because I think the youth of today just are more violent.
They're trying to make a name for themselves. We're the future top boys basically, so we've got to gain experience, gain points, get our faces known.
So the top boys now would have done what you did years ago?
Exactly, yeah. And now they're sort of getting into older boys and just coming out for the big games and organising all the stuff. Whereas the youth are sort of just like, the gophers, we'll just go there and have a fucking rout.
Yeah.
The youth member and his girlfriend had recently had a baby, so I asked him, how would he feel if his son grew up to be a football hooligan just like his dad?
Probably wouldn't be pleased, to be honest, because I know the dangers involved and stuff like that.
So you'd hope he wouldn't?
Yeah. Better if he wasn't, to be honest. Obviously he's a Rovers fan, anyway.
But you don't want to take part in violence? So you get scared that if he sees you doing it, he'd want to do it himself?
Yeah. Won't glorify it to him or anything like that. Encourage him or anything like that. So I think it's just the wrong message, really.
You definitely don't want to do it?
No.
What was it you wanted to show me?
This is
The youth member then showed me a picture from his local newspaper of himself and other numerous hooligans involved in a fracas with another rival firm.
There is it, yeah.
I then remembered I'd seen this picture once before, a week earlier, on one of the hooligan websites I investigated. But it wasn't on the Gas Hit Squad website, it was on the most hated rivals, Bristol City's city service firm. It told the account of an incident on the waterfront in Bristol's city centre between the city service firm and Sheffield United supporters. The Gas Hit Squad member had joined up with Sheffield hooligans so to honour his hatred of the city service firm. The image of the newspaper cutting on the website had quite chillingly blacked their faces out.
Did the police come around your house or anything about that?
No, luckily I didn't get anything back for that, which is really lucky.
Yeah. Oh, right, okay. So what, did people see it? Does your other family members, like your mother, are they aware that you're involved in this?
Yeah, my mum saw this and she wasn't too happy about it.
Your mum saw it on the front of the paper?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So that was what did you explain to her?
I just told her the truth. I mean,
really?
That's all I could do, really.
We took a bus into the city centre and walked down to the waterfront, where he gave me his own account of what happened that day.
One side, we were the other.
What side were you, this side?
This side, yeah. There was a police sort of cordon in the middle, so I couldn't really get to them.
Police in the middle of the bridge?
Yeah. So we couldn't really get to them, so we were just mouthing off and stuff. They were chucking a few bottles and that. And then so obviously we couldn't get to them, so basically we just walked all the way around there to that side. Let's try and get into them that. Basically we walked round there. This is Sheffield United, the Rovers, right? City have walked along this way.
So City
have come down here, yeah. There's a few police here, not many, what, 4 or 5? And basically,
there's a few police here?
Yeah, there's probably about 300 of us, about 200 City, and she's gone off right here. City have got bottles and chairs and stuff, so they're just lobbing them.
And you're down the other end, obviously?
No, we're here.
Oh,
City is down the other end.
Right, okay, yeah.
Coming towards each other, and we were just like, mouthing off and stuff like that before it goes to the row.
But there was no police in between?
Nah, not at all at this moment.
You're not used to stuff like that, normally there's police in between,
no, that's right, yeah, 300 against 300, it's chaos basically. And it's about here, and I stepped in front and I've swung.
No one else has gone for it?
Nah, just me.
What, you've all just stopped at 300 there, 300 here?
That's right, yeah, and we're just calling it on. I'm the first one, I stepped in front and swung. I hit one of the main City lads, and then basically he's threw one back. I've gone down on the floor, Sheffield United picked me up here, and then that's when the police just flooded in, calmed the whole situation down.
You've been the only one to go for a punch and no one backed you up?
Basically, yeah, and that was before the police came in. So I was
lucky. You got scared at all?
Yeah, I was scared, but I was pissed at, wasn't I?
If you ask a football hooligan, does fear ever come into it? They'll normally tell you fear is the main factor. It gives them that adrenaline buzz that seems so special to them. They say it's just how you cope with that fear, whether you bring it to your advantage. It seemed like a very worrying scenario, with men wanting to experience their own fear.
The adrenaline rush that you get, I used to get from it, It's, you know, it is hard to beat, that rush that you get. And the noise that's created when it goes off, and you've had a result. You see the police running away with their fans, and you're then outside their ground, or you're in their seats. But the fans get to know about that.
The youth squad member later told me about a football hooligan who had a notorious record of football-related violence, so much so he was talked about as if he was a legend of the terraces. He was said to be one of Britain's hardest men. His name was Cass Pennant.
Oh, fuck her mouth as usual, kiddies! Kiddie film!
Cass Pennant's notoriety was so well known, he has since become a celebrity figure. He was the first hooligan to ever be jailed, and through his life has been stabbed, shot, and witnessed at first account many other violent happenings in the East End of London. Since giving up his hooligan days, he is now a well-respected business and family man. He is also a best-selling author, being highly regarded as a well-established writer. His best-selling autobiography is at the moment in negotiations to be made into a film, and he recently finished starring in a film alongside Elijah Wood. He too has his own website, and through this I emailed him to see if he was interested in being interviewed. He agreed. Being a West Ham fan, he was in Plymouth for the weekend to watch his team play them in a championship game. I arranged to meet him before the game in a bar in the city centre. When I arrived, he was taking pictures of Plymouth football hooligans and interviewing them for his forthcoming book. When we were inside the pub, I could see there were many well-known Plymouth hooligan faces